Ultamize. Here's one of the biggest reasons conversations fall apart, and most people never notice it. They're not really listening. They're waiting for a pause, waiting for a gap, waiting for their turn to jump in. And the entire time the other person is talking, they're not really there. They're thinking, what should I say next? That reminds me of something I want to share. How do I respond to this? So even though they look like they're listening, they're not. Let me show you what this looks like. You're telling someone a story, maybe something small, maybe something that happened at work. Halfway through, they jump in with, oh, yeah, that reminds me. And now your story's over. You didn't finish, you didn't get to your point, and you feel it immediately. You feel cut off, even if they didn't mean to interrupt you. Now, here's the part that most people don't understand. That person thinks they're being engaging. They think they're relating, they think they're contributing. But what they're actually doing is signaling, I'm more interested in me talking than listening to you. Now, let's look at a different version of the same moment. You're telling that same story. The other person stays with you. They don't jump in early, they don't redirect, they let you finish. And then they respond with something like, what happened after that? Or, how did that turn out? Now your story continues. Now you feel heard. Now the conversation has flow. That's the difference. Now, here's where this shows up in a more subtle way. You're talking to someone, they're explaining something, and while they're talking, you've already prepared your response. That's not technically interrupting, but mentally, you've left the conversation. So when they finish, you jump in quickly, perhaps too quickly, almost like you were waiting for them to stop. That timing matters because it feels different. It feels like you weren't really listening, you were just waiting. Now, compare that to someone who pauses for a second. They let what you said land, then they respond. That small pause signals something powerful. I actually heard you. Now, let's make this practical. The next time you're in a conversation, I want you to notice one thing. Are you listening to understand or listening just to respond? There's a big difference. Listening to respond sounds like this in your head. Okay, when they stop, I'm going to say this. Listening to understand sounds like this. Wait, what do they really mean by that? Let me give you a real situation. You're talking to someone and they say, I've been really frustrated at work lately. If you're waiting to talk, you might say, yeah, work can be really frustrating sometimes. And now you've moved on. If you're actually listening, you might say, well, what's been frustrating about it? Now they explain. You stay with it. Is that something new or has it been building for a while? Now the conversation deepens. Now they feel heard. Now the interaction actually matters. Here's the shift I want you to make. Stop treating conversations like a relay race where you're just waiting for the baton. Start treating them like an exploration. You don't know exactly where it's going. You don't need to rush your turn. You stay with what's happening. And when you do that, you don't just become a better listener. You become someone people actually enjoy talking to because you're present and presence is rare.